Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody from wherever you are in the world. Welcome to episode 19 of Monorail Memoirs. What to pack and not pack for Walt Disney World. We'll talk about some essential items, some comfort items, and then importantly, we will cover the things that are banned by Disney that you cannot take in. Before we do that, Lauren, how are you?
I'm great, thank you, and I cannot wait to get a top that says "Run Disney" on it. It's all I've got this whole intro.
No, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. Of course, we are now what, 6 months away, something like that, because it's April. It'll be good though. Looking forward to it. Although 10 miles won't be anything to you, will it? You'll breeze past it. You did that last week without thinking about it.
Just that.
Although with that said, we need to have a discussion as to whether or not we're going to stop and do character meet and greets or what have you. Put it this way: for anyone who's interested in running any of the Run Disney races, you will probably not set a personal best, just because the course isn't designed for it. And yes, it's pretty flat, but there's some really crowded areas. There's people getting photos left, right, and Chelsea. You're probably not going to set a PB unless you don't have much race experience before.
You've also paid all that money. Do you not want to spend more time on the course?
Absolutely, that is a really valid point. But let's get into sort of what we packed for a day in Walt Disney World. So worth pointing out, Lauren, of course, is looking at this from the point of view of somebody who's got 2 young children. I'm looking at this as somebody who is, for all intent and purposes, a bachelor with a wife. So it's a very different approach here. Let's talk about bags though for a second. So Lauren, what sort of things do you like to take in terms of the carrying aspect here?
So obviously there's no limit really on the kind of how many bags you can take in essentially. So obviously we've got myself and my husband, and now I'm a massive Loungefly girly. So I have to take my Loungefly because
for those that don't know, by the way, it's worth pointing out Loungefly is a style of it's a company actually, but it's a style of bag that they've partnered with Disney, and they've got there must be hundreds now of Loungefly different combinations of. It could be of attractions like Haunted Mansion. It could be of characters like Toy Story, for example, or all of these sort of things. Loungefly, they're only about yay big. They're not very big. If anything, they don't hold anything really. No. It's a fashion statement and a call to others who have joined that particular cult to be able to take part in it. So Lauren, you have your Loungefly.
Yeah, so I have about 6 Loungeflies. So my collection is very, very small in comparison to a lot of other people's. But I do have different themes for different parks. So I've got a couple of Lion King ones, for Animal Kingdom. I've got a Haunted Mansion one. I've got a Disney 100 one. Yeah, I've got lots and lots of different ones. And so, yeah, that is my kind of main fashion piece / very inappropriate bag because it doesn't hold a lot. Hence why my husband is really important, because he's kind of the pack mule. So he brings the big grey rucksack that has all of the essentials in. Mine has just got some nice little bits and bobs in.
That's fair. I say I'm the pack mule for our scenario as well. Worth pointing out, and we'll get into hydration a little bit later, but for those who've done long distance running like myself and you have a Camelback, I sometimes will put the Camelback inside my backpack, so I have got my tube with me all day to just drink on water, because Floridian heat in summertime can be brutal. But let's start right at the top of the ticket in terms of park bag essentials, and something I want to really start with, and this is going to sound so obvious, but I cannot emphasize the amount of times I have seen people distraught when they get to the gate because they forget their ticket.
Yeah.
Whether if you have a physical ticket, remember that. Of course, if you have Magic Band or if you choose to do it on any sort of Apple Pay or what have you, just make sure before you leave your hotel, before you leave your place of residence, you have that with you. It has to be the number one item, because otherwise everything else that we're going to mention is irrelevant. You can buy everything else that we're going to mention. You cannot, well, you could buy another ticket if you wanted to, but you should not buy another ticket. Please, 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 number one item, make sure you have your ticket with you. Lauren, apart from the ticket, what else do we start to put into our essential bag?
Obviously, your phone. You need your phone, especially because of the Disney Parks app. The Walt Disney World app, it gets you all the wait times. You can do some virtual queuing on there for some of the attractions. You can order food from there. You can mobile order. A lot of people have their credit cards on there nowadays, and people have their park tickets on there. So yeah, I would say a phone is an absolute must. The tickets that we get in the UK often come with photo pass, so which is where the cast members are kind of located at lovely spots around the parks, and they can take official photos of you, and that'll go onto your Disney account. However, if you are from another country or even America, it doesn't come in their pass. They're quite pricey. Your phone is your next best friend at taking all those lovely snaps.
She's absolutely right, folks. And I want to piggyback off what Laura just said and say, if you have an external charger, take an external charger with you as
Absolutely.
well. I've got a couple. I'm sure you probably have some as well.
Yeah.
Take that external charger with you, because you are having to use your phone for everything. And there is a broader conversation as to how would you do Disney now without a phone, which it's really difficult. And there is a fair assessment to suggest that there are some people, usually on the older end of the lifespan, that may struggle to be able to really get a full day out of Disney now because of what this reliance on technology means. But parking that for a minute, I completely agree. Phone, portable charger, absolutely. I mentioned hydration though. Hydration is going to be key. There are free water fountains scattered throughout the park. So even if you're not going to take in supplies with you, take a water bottle, hell, even if it's just one of those plastic water bottles that you just keep reusing, whatever it is. Because granted, they used to be chilled, did these water fountains, and I'm 99% sure they've stopped doing that pretty much everywhere to encourage you to purchase. I have given a rant before about how I feel the price of water and liquids in general are in the parks. I think it's completely unnecessary. But for us, for example, what we will do is we will order either a DoorDash to our hotel or a Walmart order, for example, or some people, if you stay in a villa like Lauren does, go to Walmart. I will literally stick about 6 liters of Diet Coke in my bag for the day. I keep it in the bottles, obviously, but I'll put 6 liters of Diet Coke in my bag for the day.
Pour it in.
Just pour it in. But at every quick service location, there is free water available in just little cups and little dispenser. Free ice water available everywhere you go. So please, please, please make sure to stay hydrated. Lauren, what else are we packing?
So on the back of that, with the 2 children that I have, we have obviously water bottles for them. So we've got like quite big water bottles for them. And because they're children and water's often not their favourite thing, but you need to drink in the Floridian heat, we actually bring these. So I've got the prop because I couldn't really explain it to our American friends very well. So this is called squash. Those in England and Great Britain and maybe other countries who have squash will probably understand exactly what I'm talking about and think, what on earth is the confusion? Americans don't seem to have diluted juice at all. So obviously, as you can see, this is little, but there is 20 servings in this tiny little packet. You can see it up next to my big head, apparently, if you watched last week. Yeah, they're very, very tiny. If you are flying anywhere, they do go in your hand luggage because they're under 100 ml. And they're perfect for, if you don't like water, you can still get free drinks because you just bring these.
Absolutely.
In, perfect.
Exactly. And as Laura mentions, the idea of it over here is really unknown. Cold squash, sometimes called cordial, not to be confused with cordial that's added sometimes to alcoholic drinks, to for cocktails and things. But it really is beneficial for those, especially if you don't like water. My wife doesn't like water, for example. So we have them in our house here, despite living in the US. One thing I want to talk about at this point as well, because Laura makes a really good point here, is snacks. Oh my goodness, carry some snacks, because
absolutely
the cost of snacks in Disney is very expensive. But Lauren, I know you've got children, so it's probably more aimed towards you is this question. What sort of things do you think is worth packing for the little ones when it comes to food?
Yeah, so what we usually do is when we get there, we obviously do the big Walmart shop and we get kind of like little bags of cookies. We do get the big bags of Lay's, and a lifesaver that we did a few years ago that I don't know why I've never thought of doing this before is getting little sandwich bags, little sealable bags, and just decanting the big Lay's bags into the sealable bags. So that then, if you're in a queue or the children are just getting quite ratty, or, they fancy something, some crisps or raisins, if your children like those sort of things. I'd probably recommend like the dried fruit rather than fresh fruit because Floridian heat, it might spoil, it might go funny, and just for those quick snacks it's perfect. So you can get those little bags of cookies from like Chips Ahoy, for example, or like Oreos, just that sort of thing. Nothing that needs to be kept cold, though. I would stress nothing that needs to be kept cold in Florida, because with every will in the world, you will not keep that cold.
She's right, folks. And actually, it's funny. The when we would grow up going to Florida, we would stay in a villa that was owned by a family friend, and so what we would do is, because it was cost prohibitive for us to eat in the parks, we would, like, Mum would make sandwiches for the day, and so we'd all go in. We'd have our, pull over and have sandwiches on Main Street or whatever. And so there's some really fond memories there. But the point is that you can absolutely save money by doing that. But just think ahead, plan ahead on what those snacks are. And if you don't have a vehicle, if you can't get to Walmart, you can't get to Target, what have you, there's plenty of online services, whether that be DoorDash, whether that be Walmart deliveries, whatever. There's so many options. I recommend taking use of those. Sunscreen. So, worth pointing out, we've discussed Floridian heat for a long time. The Floridian heat is not what's going to make you burn. It is the UV index that will make you burn. The UV index, even if it isn't massively hot outside, is going to be high. So if it is at a temperature whereby you can't wear long sleeves or you can't wear trousers, you must apply layers. I'm not a scientist. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but at the same time, just chuffing sunscreen on. It's not rocket science. Pack some. Cool. Laura, is there anything else that you have in the essentials before we start to move through the comfort items?
Well, obviously you can get the fuel rods from, in the Disney parks, because we talked about the charge, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can, if you do forget yours, or you've not packed one, you can get those fuel rods from the Disney parks and also Disney Springs, any Disney property, and they're interchangeable as well. So it's kind of like you pay one flat price and then you just deposit your one that's empty and you get a new one. So that is an option if you just on the fuel side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So the external charging point that Laura makes is really essential. I do just have one other that I would consider to be an essential. Check the weather before you go. And the reason I say check the weather before you go is whether or not a poncho might be required, proper rain jacket, or heck, a spare pair of socks. There is nothing more miserable than wet feet. I'm sure we'll all agree here. But if it rains in the morning when you're at the park and you've got another 8 to 9 hours cutting about with wet feet, it's just miserable. So, spare pair of socks. That's it in terms of essentials from my side. Let's move through to some sort of comfort items now. Lauren, what do you think are some comfort items you would like to take with you in the parks?
So, especially thinking about the children, and obviously we talk about the heat a lot. Those little handheld fans, I think, are really good. But
do they actually do anything? Do they actually do anything?
I mean, they help somewhat, I think. But even if it's psychological, I don't know. But you can get them from kind of like even TikTok Shop, Shein, whatever cheap sites you can get.
Other non-Chinese suppliers are available.
Non-Chinese suppliers are available. But yeah, you can just get cheap little handheld fans. From the UK, you can get them from like Home Bargains and stuff like that. And they will save you a heck of a lot of money when you're there, because Disney obviously always upsell everything, and they have these kind of like spray bottles with a fan attached to it that, yes, could be all right, I don't know, but they're equally about $35-40. So you need to kind of figure out where you want to spend your money. So yeah, just a little handheld fan can sometimes be really helpful.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're right. I think I don't use them personally, because if I was to do that, I would just put a wet towel on the back of my neck or something. But it's the same outcome. One of the recommendations I have is make sure you have comfortable shoes. You're going to be I was this time last year, or just slightly over this time last year, I was in Disneyland. For the 3 days that I was there, I did more than 30,000 steps every day. That is a lot of mileage on your feet. You've got to make sure you've got appropriate footwear, appropriate socks. You'll see some people cutting around in sandals or flip-flops or what have you. Nah, you're going to be absolutely miserable. So strongly recommend some comfortable shoes. Another comfort item that I've got that's probably not a bad idea is, depending on the time of year, consider taking some deodorant. Not just for you, but also for everyone around you, because it can get pretty warm in some of those lines. Whether it be there's some sort of wet wipes, or whether it be some deodorant, whatever. But just something to consider. Lauren, do you have anything else on the comfort side you want to mention?
Yeah, so I often like to take Lipsil because, you know, with obviously the heat and the humidity and all that sort of stuff, it can mess with your skin. You know, I'm not saying that you need to do a whole beauty, you know, routine, but it's just kind of like just keep them hydrated and yeah, just that sort of thing. And also for your face, rather than sun cream, sometimes sun creams can be quite harsh on your face. Moisturiser with SPF in it, which is sometimes a little bit lighter. And also for women who want to wear makeup, it sits with your makeup a little bit better than sun cream. So that was just a tip there.
A fact I didn't know, because of all the makeup that I wear.
And bobbles, because as much as you will do your hair in the morning and it'll look brilliant for the nice castle photos that you have, I guarantee you'll be like, oh my goodness, I just need to get my hair off the back of my neck, or, you know, off my shoulders or whatever, because it is just so dang hot there. You just need it up out of your face to have a great time.
Unlike the makeup comment, I actually understand that one, because of course, for most people who, I used to have hair that was nearly as long as Lauren's. That was a while ago. So let's move through to now the items that you literally cannot bring in. So these are items that are banned by Disney, and this is taken from the Disney website. So some things are more obvious than others, but the one that catches a lot of people out is selfie sticks. I know they're not as big as they used to be. They're not big of a craze as they used to be, but selfie sticks are banned. Security will just take them away, and you will not get them back. So be aware. Another one that's gone, Lauren.
Just on that, I know that people are doing a lot of content creating and TikTok and all that sort of stuff. That will include kind of like the telescopic things that you put your phone on for, you know, doing TikTok trends or whatever. You just basically not allowed big long sticks.
Absolutely.
Anywhere.
She's absolutely right. In addition to that, you can't take on anything that is either a weapon or resembles a weapon. No drugs, no alcohol, all the usual stuff. There's some that are a little bit more interesting. You can't take folding chairs in, so you can't take folding chairs. You also can't take in any wrapped gifts, because they will make you unwrap them to prove what is in them, which sort of makes sense. And one that is a personal bugbear of mine in recent years that has got a lot better is you can't take in pets unless they are service animals. Now, let me be really clear. Service animals come in all different shapes and sizes, but I highly doubt your overweight chihuahua with a sticker on the side of it that says service animal is going to achieve anything. So please, not just for your sake, but for the sake of the guests around you, really consider whether or not that is a service animal, or whether or not you just want to take your dog to Disney. Lauren, is there anything else that I've missed that you think we should mention in terms of what to pack or what not to pack for a day in Walt Disney World?
Yeah, so something that's becoming increasingly popular for families with young children, instead of bringing a pram, it's bringing a wagon. So it's like a four-wheeler kind of really big thing. You're not allowed them.
Good.
They are prohibited. They do take up a heck of a lot of room, and it is just a bit obnoxious, just like having a massive trailer following you. And I get that you don't want to carry your bag and all that sort of stuff, and the children who don't fit in prams anymore want seats and all that sort of stuff. But the strollers that they rent in all the parks and everything, they are quite accommodating. You know, they can fit quite big children in there, especially if you get a double one. So if you're really that bothered, you know, you can just
completely agreed.
Completely
agreed. Thank you. But yes, so happy days. And there is just the sort of thing I want people to finish this with is, you know, check the weather, stay hydrated, stay comfortable, because these can be some long days in Disney.
Absolutely.
Long days. And don't leave the house without your ticket. I got nothing else, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for attending this week, as always. The ticket goes across the bottom of the screen. If you have any thoughts, comments, queries, feel free to email us. Feel free to put it in YouTube comments. Follow us on Monorail Memoirs. I haven't said that Lauren has got a big head this week. Don't worry. But this is becoming a trend. I stick something on the bottom of the ticker, and I succeeded in the final task. So with that in mind, thank you all very much. And there was one thing I forgot to do. So Lauren is aware that I've got her a present, and she doesn't know what the present is. And the present is a DVC exclusive present, but you can have it anyway. What that present is it is a little Stitch, but you stick him on your shoulder and he magnetically sits there. So Lauren, the next time I see you, there's your little Stitch. DVC exclusive present, but there you give you a little Stitch anyway. Once again, thank you all for attending. That really is the end of the episode. And as always, please stand clear of the doors. Bye, everybody.
Bye.